Sage Wanderer here, and welcome to Political Soup. Today's political soup is lightning fast. It's lickety split. We're talking about everything Donald Trump accomplished in his first week in office. Not the things he talked about, not the things he promised, not the things he signed into law or executive order. We're talking about what did his administration actually do in his first week. And let me tell you, it's a lot. It's a video's worth. So let's get down to the brass tacks here and see what our election to appoint Donald Trump as President of the United States has accomplished us in the first week. I will say this, I think he's done more in the first week than most presidents do in 100 days. I'm not even talking about all the executive orders. So the first real on the ground change we're seeing from the Trump administration is the ICE roundup. We're going to talk about that and a lot of other things he's done this week. But before I get into that, I want to encourage all of you to support this channel. This channel is funded by viewers like you. It's your kind donations that keep me on the air, keep the lights on here in my cabin in the woods, and keep these videos coming your way. So head down to the links in the description below to Cash App and to PayPal and to my post office box and become a supporter of the channel today and help keep me on the air. Okay, the ICE roundup. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency instituted a round of arrests of illegal immigrants who are also wanted in other countries or, in fact, have committed crimes on U.S. soil or are awaiting trial for some crime. And on the first round, just in Boston, more than 500 people were rounded up in just that first round. There were other roundups that occurred in New York, New Jersey, and Chicago. Many of these people that they picked up had Interpol warrants for crimes they committed in other countries. You know, back in the old days in the cowboy movies, if you got in trouble with the law in the United States, you would make a run for the border, cross over to Mexico to avoid being punished for your crimes in the U.S. This has flipped around. People from all over the world are fleeing to the United States through our southern border over the past many years to escape prosecution in their home countries and have come here to disappear into the interior of the United States. But you can't outrun the long arm of the law. So our first round of deportations included many people who had international Interpol warrants for crimes they committed in their home country. A Brazilian who was convicted and escaped punishment for a murder down in Brazil. We've got amongst those, there's not just Mexicans, there's Brazilians, there's Guatemalans, there's Venezuelans and Haitians included in this crackdown. And like I said, these people are hard-nosed, hardcore criminals, gang members, drug traffickers, human traffickers, and they have been evading justice in these sanctuary cities where even if they commit crimes in the sanctuary city or state like Oregon, Washington, Illinois, New York, places like that, Massachusetts, then even though they've committed crimes there, they're sent out on cashless bonds to await their trial and back into the community. And so ICE agents were waiting to round them people up, and they did get quite a boatload of them. Now, these people have been detained, but they've not been deported as of yet. As of yet, feel free to correct me in the comment section below, no one since Donald Trump took office a week ago have been actually sent out of the country. They're just being rounded up. Now, there was a plane load of them set to be dumped back in Mexico, but the Mexican government there refused to let our United States aircraft, our U.S. Air Force aircraft, land in their country to send these people back. They refused to allow them to land, And so we are now at a standstill on getting people actually sent into Mexico. But the Mexican government knows it's inevitable because they are busy building tent cities to house all of these people that are being returned to their country and repatriated to Mexico. Now, Mexico refuses to help any other people who get deported to Mexico, only Mexican nationals, which I can't say as I blame them. So there's going to be an effort to send these people back to their nation of origins, and that will be the next round of struggles there. But the people who are going to be doing the deporting and defending our border now are going to be headed up by regular forces of the U.S. military. That's right, active duty military. More than 1,500 troops have been deployed to the southern border, including a contingent of Marines numbering in the hundreds from Camp Pendleton. So these aren't weekend warrior National Guard part-time soldiers. This is the best of the best being sent down to our border once and for all, finally, to deal with all of this coming out of the southern border. So, hats off to Donald Trump for following through, and it's obvious this is happening, and it's going to be the center focus of a lot of stuff over the coming weeks. This is going to be, and already is, a firebrand of controversy, but Donald Trump ran on this. He is responding to the will of the American people, and he's absolutely going to get her done down on the border. So, now, other things he's done is the DEI offices of every federal agency has been shut down. All the people assigned to those positions have been put on administrative leave with the intention to eventually lay them off from federal service. Donald Trump is putting a stop to a lot of the stuff that people don't like about our government. He's making changes like have never been seen before in the history of our country, and it's just the first week. So he also revoked the security clearances for some of our deep state most notorious actors. So we're talking about Fauci, we're talking about Brennan, we're talking about Bolton, people like that who have actively worked against Donald Trump. And in fact, had they not been pardoned by Joe Biden, they would be facing criminal charges because, especially in the case of General Milley, who was recently pardoned, I believe, by Joseph Biden on the last day in office. Milley committed treason when he spoke to the Chinese generals and told them that if Donald Trump was going to attack them, that he would send them a heads up. Don't worry, it won't be a surprise attack. I'll fill you in. That's treason. That's at least sedition. Like, that's definitely criminal. But he can't be touched. Now, having said that, he can have and has had his security clearance revoked. And I would look towards people that have retired out of the government who were still active in trying to stop Donald Trump, not just having their security clearance canceled and their security detail dismissed, because many of these people are being protected by the United States security services so that they do not have to worry about their well-being and look over their shoulder all the time for the awful things they did while in power. And so Donald Trump has already done that. He's removed the security detail of many of these controversial deep state actors and revoked their security clearance. And in the case of General Milley, who I believe it has a U.S. Military pension, just because he can't be prosecuted because of the pardon doesn't mean he's going to be able to sit back and collect his money from the government. I think Donald Trump's going to do everything within his power to sink these people, diminish their power, and leave them with as little as possible. And that might, this is a guess, this is just a guess, that might include reneging on their pension and denying their retirement because of the things they did in office. I think Donald Trump's going to do everything within his power. And I imagine there'll be a slew of lawsuits for wrongful termination and other things coming out of these actions in the first couple of months. Now, another thing Donald Trump did is he froze all foreign aid relief to everyone. He froze all of the foreign aid to everyone, I believe, except Israel and one other lesser-known country. So only Israel is still getting money. He froze everything all foreign aid. And not only that, here's a story you probably never heard. The governmental department actually tasked with collecting the military weapons, the high-tech weapons that are being sent to Ukraine for this Ukraine war against Russia, this Russian-Ukraine war. The actual department, the group of people responsible for rounding these weapons up, fulfilling the list of requirements, and getting them on airplanes and sending that stuff to Ukraine has been shut down. Now, there was already one 747 cargo jet loaded down with military weapons headed to Ukraine that was already loaded, already had the manifest, already had the clearance, was being expected. It was allowed to fly out earlier in the week, but I believe it's going to be the last one, because not only did Donald Trump completely shut that office of fulfillment down that was responsible for fulfilling the request for weapons in Ukraine, not only did he shut them down and send everybody home, he flooded their offices with a crew, a mob of auditors. So he intends to go in and find out exactly what was sent over to Ukraine, exactly what do they still have in Ukraine, and exactly what was already used in Ukraine. And I suspect, now this is not news, but my speculation, that this will be followed up with an investigation in Ukraine about where the money we sent to them went. What did they do with all of the aid packages that were sent over there, the many, many billions and billions and billions of dollars? Where did that money go? Because just this week in Ukraine, a Ukraine army psychologist or psychiatrist had his office raided, and over $180,000 in United States currency was stashed all in his office and recovered by investigators. So, you know, this reality of us giving this money for the use of against Russia in the Ukraine war, this money is not being spent properly, and it's being distributed out to various government officials, and they're building mansions with it and buying Mercedes and buying yachts and living high on the hog on the back of the American taxpayer. And I think Donald Trump is likely to make that next move there. What else might Donald Trump do in the coming week or weeks? Well, they're dragging their feet on confirming his appointees, but we do have a couple confirmed. The first one obviously was Marco Rubio, confirmed as Secretary of State unanimously by the entire Senate, I might add. And that allowed Donald Trump to do a lot of the things that he's doing already when it comes to freezing foreign aid and dealing with the weapons to Ukraine and things like that. And so what's next? Well, now that Pete Hegseth was confirmed yesterday, but it was a 50-50 vote. 50 people voted for him, and 50 people in the Senate voted against him, and that made it a tie. And we all know that the vice president sits over the Senate as the Senate leader, and then he would cast the tie-breaking vote in this instance to confirm Pete Hegseth as our what's his position there? Department of Defense, the Secretary of Defense, our chief warrior. And you know, when asked about this, J.D. Vance said, "I thought my days of voting in the Senate were over." I'm sorry, J.D. I think you're just getting wound up, because we got some turncoats in the Republican Party, and you're going to see these 50-50 votes, even though we have a majority technically in the Senate. Several of these people will vote on the other side, vote against Donald Trump and his policies and his people. So, but we did get Pete Hegseth in there. And I think you can expect the next round of controversy to be coming out of the Pentagon. I expect Pete Hegseth to go in there with a hatchet and start firing people, start demoting people, start reassigning people, shutting down whole departments, and changing the way our military operates at its highest level. This will probably have little or no effect on your rank and file soldiers, Marines, and airmen, Navy, and even Space Force. I don't believe their lives will change much in the day-to-day, but the people at the Pentagon, the people at the very highest level, are going to be cold, because many of them have worked diligently to try to stop Donald Trump in his first term, as well as probably be being involved in a lot of shady stuff that's gone on during the Biden administration. Hence why Milley got pardoned, because Biden has been pardoning his partners in crime. So this is what I expect to see in the future: rounds of firings, rounds of whole departments being shut down. Donald Trump's talking about shutting down FEMA and issuing aid directly from presidential power rather than even having a federal emergency management department in charge. Just doing an end run around that and making it the president's job to empower the states to fix their own issues. As he said in a recent interview, it's the states' jobs to deal with problems in the state, and the federal government should let their departments within each state handle it and simply dole out money from the federal budget as necessary for emergencies. So we could see an end to whole departments like the Department of Education or even the Department of Agriculture. And awaiting confirmation is, of course, RFK. I expect there to be a big fight over RFK's, Robert F. Kennedy's, confirmation as the head of Health and Human Services. That position is perfectly suited for him. It's one I hoped he would get. I hope he is prudent and doesn't just try to change everybody's diet overnight. But I do expect there to be big pharma and food companies and medicine companies of all sorts who are going to be lobbying hard on the members of the Senate to stop his confirmation. But I do believe he will be confirmed more than likely by that 50-50 vote, with J.D. Vance, Vice President, casting the tie-breaking vote. Tell me what you think in the comments section below. Did I miss anything of major action? Not what he signed, not what he said, but what did Donald Trump actually do? You know, don't pay attention to what Donald Trump says. Pay attention to what he does. And you're going to find that he's an excellent president, was before and will be again, and he's a man of action. What actions do you think are next on his list? What do you think's the response going to be? And where do you think we're headed from here? What a crazy, lightning, lickety-split, fast-moving, fast-action week Donald Trump had, and I can't wait to see what's coming in the week ahead. Well, thank you for viewing. Please become a supporter of the channel. I got a sermon coming to you on Sunday, so if you're a Christian or spiritual type person or just a good guy or a good lady, please tune in on Sunday and see what I think about all that. And we'll see you next time on Political Soup.